You got that made just for him?
Just for today, mate.
You've just got it made. No, just printed it.
Just now, mate. 3D printer.
Yeah, right.
Wow. Are we recording then? Should we just go?
Yeah, I've already started recording. I wish there were fans of that game, though. Imagine how mental they would have gone at that second goal.
Yeah,
Just like a wasted opportunity almost.
that would have been incredible to have fans there. I mean, maybe not for the animosity for the rest of the game, but
yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, honestly, Leon, you might have to carry this podcast because I'm so speechless. I'm trying to start a sentence. I had no idea where I'm going with it because I just cannot believe what just happened.
Is there a reason for the Le Coq Sportif shirt with for the game?
No, I just thought, throw it back to Le Coq there. I've also got a different shirt that I'd like to present. This fucking man right here. This guy.
Oh, God. Good weekend for West Ham as well, beating Spurs 2-1, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, starting with West Ham might be a good idea so we can kind of calm down the nerves.
Yeah, let me gather my thoughts.
Yeah, huge win for us on the weekend, 2-1. Obviously, Champions League place now. I think we're 5 points clear of Liverpool, 2 points clear of Chelsea. So, we're going for the Champions League. We're on the European tour next season.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
Sorry?
Who do you play next?
City. So, that's just unfortunate one.
But it's amazing. It goes to show, if you put a solid squad together, you will just pick up results because other teams will be struggling, and then you will end up in those spaces. You don't have to have unbelievable individuals, do you?
No. I saw a tweet earlier from the other 14, that account.
Yeah.
Basically, it was looking at the percentage of goals scored by one single player as a percentage of the whole team goals. And West Ham didn't have anyone in the top 20, 21 places, which is really decent to see because it shows that we're not relying on any individual performances, which is good.
I would have thought Souček would be fairly high up there, but I guess you've scored a lot just in general.
I think Souček
as well.
8 this season.
He does. Yeah, he does.
He's the top scorer, but I still don't think he's up there enough. But yeah, it's very promising times to be a West Ham fan as long as we can keep this up. But even if we don't keep it up to this level, would be ridiculous to keep up. I think we're second in the league based off results from 2021. So even if we keep it up, just do a decent.
You have to be looking at Europa League, haven't you?
Yeah. I was going to say. I feel like, and it's not a downside, but I feel like at this point, if you were to not get at least Europa League, it would be considered kind of not a failure, but a missed opportunity for West Ham.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, we should be able to. We've got a tough run of games coming up, so if we can get out of that with a few points, obviously 3 against Spurs is huge because they're obviously a contender for the Europa League positions anyway. So if we can get out of this run, I think we've got City next week, Leeds the week after, United, Arsenal, Wolves, Leicester. So realistically, we want to be getting some points from those teams because they are all, apart from City, they are all beatable teams.
Everyone apart from City is beatable in the league, I think.
Yeah, actually, I'd agree with that.
Leicester have had loads of injuries. United are always beatable, I think. We beat them this season, and they struggled the other day.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could easily get those points. You just need to keep performing so consistently. And I think it's a good thing that, as you say, you haven't fully relied on one player because that shows that if that player has an off day, for example with Palace, if Zaha has an off day, then we're in trouble. The fact that you aren't relying on one player like that is a good thing for you.
And that's why I prefer from what I remember, obviously the 2015-16 season was the last time we had a season of this kind of quality, and we relied on Payet so badly, more than I can ever remember any team relying on anyone else. More than I'd say Palace relied on Zaha, he was literally not only did he score and assist pretty much over half of our goals. He also created even more of those. So that's why I prefer being a West Ham fan this season, just because it's more fun to watch the whole team play well.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Zaha, we didn't have him today, and although I'm absolutely elated and speechless and stuff, I'll give it about 2 hours and it'll start to dawn on me that we were atrocious again today.
No, I think we're actually even worse than last game. Like, it was full out, like, defending for our lives the entire game. Like, there was not one moment besides the 2 goals where we weren't literally defending for our lives.
Yeah, I mean, on another day, on most days, we lose that game 2-0 maybe, having put in no attacking threat whatsoever. And so it's just an absolute robbery what we've just done, basically.
I was going to say, even if Benteke didn't score that winner, I thought the players did, like, play hard, and they put in, like, a really good shift. It's the fact that Roy set up for defending for 90 minutes. That's why I tweeted that I felt bad for the players, because clearly they're told to just go out there and defend and then try to hit them out of the counter ones.
And I saw people say, like, Eze had a quiet game today, and he did, but he was told to sit behind the ball for 90 minutes. Like, what is he meant to do? He's not Yves Bissouma. He's not N'Golo Kante. He's a brilliant attacking talent, and he wasn't able to attack. So I don't know what you expect. But to go through the team, like, briefly, some of my standout performers, I thought Cahill and Kouyaté today were just immense, just so good, and it helped that we were playing such a low block, so loads of clearances, heading the ball away, loads of blocks and that kind of stuff, which does suit their games. But they were just brilliant, and it's that kind of putting their bodies on the line that we've missed quite a bit recently. So it was good to see that, and they were a massive reason for Brighton only scoring 1 goal. And then also Jordan Ayew, I wanted to say, was just really good today. He always seems to do well when we're kind of pressed back and we're the underdog in the game. That's when he kind of steps up and just takes the pressure off us a lot of the time. And even though Mateta scored, he actually he did have a really bad game. A brilliant goal, and as a striker, all you want is to score goals, so fair enough. But other than that goal, he was actually really poor. But obviously, no one's worried about that now. It was just an observation of his all-round game.
Ayew was played such an important role in the not only the first but the second goal as well. He brought the ball he progressed the ball really well. I thought the whole game he looked like he was trying to drive you forward when he did get the ball. And without Zaha in the team and with Eze obviously being playing a different role, I think Eze was obviously playing in what looked like a 3-man defensive midfield.
Yeah, I think it was like a 4-5-1. So I think it was a centre midfielder. Really.
Yeah, I think Ayew looked like the player who was progressing the team forward the best, and I thought he would have been probably my man of the match, either him or Gary Cahill, I think.
Yeah, who was yours, Mikey? Actually, one more thing. The reason I put Kouyaté there, obviously he defended really well, but also for that first goal, he let Ayew loose with a brilliant through ball.
Yeah, that's
true. I don't think he's a great passer at all. So that was a lovely ball.
I think I'd give Kouyaté the man of the match because of what you just said, because he is the reason we scored that first goal. But besides that, I think him and Cahill evenly were both by far our 2 best players. I think Ayew was good. But honestly, after those 3, I think there was kind of a big drop off. I think Townsend was good defensively, but I mean, he always is, and he's not a defender. So
was he? Because their goal is.
I know that's what I was going to say. I was going to say he helped out defensively, but that first goal was his fault, and he didn't provide anything going forward. So I don't want to really compliment him too much.
90 minutes, he's done nothing except let a man.
Yeah. And one other thing that you didn't cover, I think this is a good game that kind of shows that Luka, I just don't think is good enough going forward. He plays hard, but I think our midfielders were not good today. And I think Gyro just needs a better midfield partner if we are going to keep him going forward. We need to replace Luka with a box-to-box, kind of like a dominant type player, because he's kind of chasing the ball.
So someone a bit more mobile, because he turns like a dump truck, honestly.
Yeah.
Not very agile, not very quick, which in the Prem can be a real bad thing for a centre midfielder.
Yeah, Lucas is so slow.
As much as he's the captain, I think when it comes to playing in the game, he seems a bit like a passenger. He doesn't seem like he's ever a key player going forward or defensively. He'll make a couple good challenges, but he never seems like an integral part to neither the attacking or the defending system for Palace. I just think he's in the team because he's one of the best players you've got there, which shows, despite the fact you've got depth, that you haven't really got quality there.
I mean, I wouldn't say that anymore. Well, yeah, sure, maybe, but also he got absolutely murdered by Neil Maupay. He nutmegged him in the corner, which was just embarrassing.
Oh, was that him? I thought that was Joe Ward. Maybe it was Lucas.
No, Ward got nutmegged with like a little L-shaped drag back type thing, and then about 3 minutes later, Ward got done by Luca got done. But can we just talk about how poetic that game was? Honestly, I don't think there has been really a bigger robbery in football, and I can't stop smiling about it because I'm just imagining how fuming Lewis Dunk is right now. He's absolutely seething, which just makes me happy. But like, we had 2 touches in their box, which were both the shots that we scored from, and they had.
Did we really? We had 2 touches in their box,
and they had 52 in ours. Yeah, and we had 25% possession, which I thought I heard the commentators say it's the lowest in a Prem game this season. Just for anyone, but maybe I'm wrong there, but that is so bad, 25. You rarely see that.
I think that, speaking for Brighton, there's like a serious issue with their players going forward, their forwards or their midfielders, because again, they had 2.2 XG to 0.26 for Palace, and they come out with a loss. And I think they're like top 6 in the league right now in expected points, and they are in a relegation battle. Like, they actually could go. I don't think they will go down. Like, I really doubt they will, but they could go down, which is insane.
The thing is, they play really good football, but sorry, the voice is gone from that Mateta goal. But they're never going to have a Wilfred Zaha or a Eberechi Eze. They just aren't as. They aren't a big enough club, and they aren't in a good enough area in terms of their academy where they're going to bring someone like that through. So in the end, they just don't have that attacking talent. So they'd have to kind of recruit really well to do that, to change that. Because for now, Trossard, Maupay, I don't think they're good enough finishers for Brighton. And honestly, I've been his critic, but I think Graham Potter. He is actually doing a really good job, and you can't blame him for what we just saw today. Like, that is I can't even describe it. He did look gutted as well.
I do think with a player like Danny Ings, I think Brighton would be almost at the same level that Southampton are. Just a player who picks the ball up, will make chances for themselves and finish chances. And there are so many balls that will get put on a plate for Danny Ings, and he will get probably the same amount of goals that he gets for Southampton in a good season for that Brighton side. I think that's the kind of player they need, just a superstar.
I think they'll be better than Southampton if they had Danny Ings.
Yeah, probably
necessary. One of my points, Jesus Christ, we didn't know how good a game it was, so we kind of came up with some points to discuss. And one of my points was how I don't think Southampton's squad's very good at all, which I'll go into a bit more detail in. When we did our manager rankings, we all had Hasenhüttl quite high. And in the last 7 games, they drew against Chelsea, but lost the 6 before that. So they're on terrible form, and they're not doing well in the league at all. So I thought, have we overrated Hasenhüttl a bit? But then I looked at their squad and I thought, I really think it's a terrible squad. I think it's so bad. It's paper thin. And even their star players, I think Ings is great. But I think Ward-Prowse is fairly average. He's a great free kick taker and a hard worker, but he's not a brilliant football player, I don't think, at all. I mean, if you look, I think last season he didn't get any assists from that centre midfield role. Che Adams is all right next to Danny Ings. You've got Redmond, Stuart Armstrong, Ryan Bertrand. Jack Stevens is one of the worst centre-backs in the Premier, and he gets a lot of minutes for them. Vestergaard, Bednarek.
It's a mid-table type squad.
Alice McCarthy in goal, but I think it's a squad that could go down under a worse manager. Genuinely, I think it's really poor, and I think Danny Ings saves them a lot. Yeah,
I definitely. I don't think I have any complaints with that. The only thing I would say is that I'd argue that Hasenhüttl we've rated him pretty well considering how bad their squad is. I think Although
That's
maybe
what I
we
was
didn't.
saying.
Yeah. I think although maybe we didn't consider that as much as we maybe should have done, because they were performing quite well at that, when we recorded that episode. I think he does a fantastic job. Obviously, the signing of Minamino has got them a couple goals in his first 2 games, so it should be interesting to see if he can add a little bit more quality at the other end of the pitch. But
Yeah, that's a weird one because from Liverpool's perspective, I found it really weird how they're towards the end of games they're bringing on Divock Origi, and then they got rid of Minamino. And honestly, I think Minamino's a better player than I do think Origi's quite a poor player, and not someone that Liverpool should be bringing off the bench when they need a goal.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it is interesting that Liverpool let him go, considering how little depth they have now. Bring on Origi shows that, but it must be more of like a long-term move, trying to get him some confidence going forward because.
Yeah.
So one of my points was I just wanted to know I saw Mikey tweet about this earlier today, so I already know what he's going to say. But it was who your pick for the PFA Player of the Year is currently, based off the performances so far this season. And I think me and Mikey are going to have the same answer to this. But I just wanted to know if Amesy, you agreed or not.
Right, you two have thought about it. I'm on the spot here. The first names that come to my head, I think Harry Kane's numbers are amazing. I think is it 13 goals and 11 assists off the top of my head?
Yeah, and he's been out for a while as well.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. So I really do think he has a shout, despite Spurs maybe not doing too well. The other name that comes to my head is Ruben Diaz for how good Man City's defence has just become since he's come in. Other than that, let me have a think. It can't be a Liverpool player. I don't think City, not Chelsea, United.
So yeah, me and Leon, we had Ruben Diaz, and then I had Bruno second, and then Harry Kane third.
Bruno, yeah, should have thought of him. Who'd you have third?
Kane.
Harry Kane.
Yeah.
See,
yeah,
I would also put Gundogan in the conversation. I think he's been a very integral player, especially since De Bruyne dropped out for the last few weeks. I think maybe I've got a bit of recency bias just because I've watched a few City games recently and he's been fantastic for them. But for me, it would definitely be Ruben Diaz. Kane's numbers are really good, as are Bruno's. But I think the way Diaz transformed the City defence is just so fantastic. I would give it to him.
Yeah, I think Bruno, I think he's looking like he could be the 5th player to ever get a 15-goal, 15-assist season in the Prem. I think he's already on what's he on, 10 and 10 maybe, or something like that. But he's having a ridiculous season.
He's on 15 and 11 right now, I think it was. 15 goals, 11
15
assists.
and 11?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, yeah. That is very impressive. I think, but from someone, obviously stats isn't everything, from someone who watches the games, I think I'd be more inclined to go for a Harry Kane or a Ruben Diaz ahead. And Gundogan's been great, but I'm going to go with Kane. Yeah, I'm going to go with Kane.
Talking of watching Harry Kane, actually, on the weekend when we played Spurs, he seemed like he wasn't his usual self, and every time he got within the goal, he was looking for like kind of curved balls to the back post and like trying to thread in Son or Moura or Lamela, and that was kind of like useless at the end of the day. That the balls would go in and they're going to end up going out for a goal kick because no one would meet him, and he didn't look like he was so eager to take the shots on. And I was looking at some stats after the game, and since Jose took over, he averages about 2-3 less shots per game. He has much less chances, and I remember seeing in the Spurs documentary, Mourinho saying that he was going to make Harry Kane explode. And I was wondering what your thoughts were on whether or not he's hindered his development and he would be scoring and maybe creating more as under a different manager, or whether you think Mourinho has done that.
You say he's taking less shots, and he did used to just take an obscene amount of shots. And sure, they don't play that much attacking football, but this return you're seeing this season is the best we've seen from him, or at least equal to the best of previous seasons. So maybe not explode, but I don't think he's hindered it. And also, it's not just goal scoring. He's never had 11 assists at this point in the season before.
I think he's even had
No, literally. So I don't think he's hindered him at all. I think he's given him a new role in a way because he covers so much more of the pitch now, and he's much more involved in the playmaking. I think he makes a load more chances than he has in previous seasons. So maybe he's changed his game, but hindered it. I don't think so. No.
I think he's definitely not exploded his confidence, but like he's really instilled a lot of confidence in him. I think that's what Mourinho's done really well with Kane. Like he's burying his chances at like a really high rate, even though he's not getting as many chances. And obviously with the assist too, he's like such a focal point in their attack, even more so than he was before. So I think in that way he's helping, but in terms of how many actual chances he's getting, I think he's hindering that a little bit. Because of how Spurs play.
Yeah.
I still think he'll be he's going to be our main man at the Euros, and I can't wait to watch him then.
Hopefully in person.
Yeah, that would be incredible. That'd be incredible. One of the first games back in stadiums to be watching England in the Euros final.
I wanted to ask you boys who you thought was the best goalkeeper in the Premier League. Obviously, I would have said this was easy a few weeks ago, and then the more you watch Alisson, especially recently, it looks like he's dropping out on confidence, and maybe not the best, maybe a top 3 in case you all both go with Alisson or someone like that. I think it's a really tough decision because there's a lot of quality keepers in the Premier League, but I don't think there are that many that actually stand above the pack, aside from maybe Alisson based off recent seasons, but not so much based off his last few games. Obviously, that's just on form, but I just wanted to know what you thought was who you guys thought were the best keepers in the league based off of that and off who your own opinion.
Right. Do you want to go first, Mikey?
Well, it's tough because I think based on, and I really don't want to go first. But it's hard because if we're talking about like the best keeper, I probably look at it from perspective of like not just this season, like overall quality. So I probably would put Alisson at the top, even though he's been really, really bad. I think the past 2 games it is, maybe it's the past like 3. I'd probably still put him at the top. But if we're talking like who has been the best this season, I'd probably say Emi Martinez. He's had 1 or 2 bad performances, but aside from that, I think he's been like really, really good for Villa, and he's saved them a lot of points this season.
Yeah, I'll go for Alisson top still. As Mikey says, 2 or 3 games after what he's done for Liverpool, I don't think you can just say, completely change your opinion like that. So yeah, I'm still going to go Alisson first, and I've got a short list of 4, which I'm struggling to put in order, but I've got Martinez, Lloris, Pope, and Ederson. I'd probably put Pope in my top 3 to be honest. So Alisson and Pope, and then Lloris we'll go for Lloris with Ederson, then Martinez in the top 5.
Ames, just a little query.
No, Schmeichel doesn't make it, unfortunately.
That's interesting as you've changed your stance from the debates episode, which is probably coming out in the next few weeks.
Look, what's the debate if the 2 people are agreeing, right?
Right, that interests me.
What kind of content would that be?
I think that you made a lot of valid points, and actually in the debate you managed to persuade me that I actually think Ederson and Schmeichel are so close still. But like I'm not sure who to go for. My shortlist is the same as yours, but include Alisson, Ederson, Lloris, Schmeichel, Martinez, and Pope. I think are the best keepers in the league. For me, I'd have Alisson top again. Then I'd probably go Lloris and Emi Martinez as a top 3, but the others just miss out. But yeah, I'm interested to know that after the debates, both Mikey had Calvert-Lewin in his England squad and not Ings, and now Ames has got
but to be fair, different scenarios. I mean, the England one I can understand because that's more of like a on-form thing. I mean, not that we've released that video yet, but you're taking more form player probably for your England squad. But with the Schmeichel Ederson one, sure, they're pretty similar.
It's tough it's tough to rank goalkeepers just because, like, I don't know, all you have to go off of is just they're the saves they make, which one might argue makes it easier to rank them, but I mean, it's just kind of so fluid with the goalkeepers. I feel like, Ederson could have a world-class performance one game and then the next game he makes an error. Like Schmeichel saves a penalty, and then you think he's better. So I feel like it's kind of fluid with the goalkeepers, especially.
It's tough because sometimes in some games they'll have nothing to do,
Yeah.
and then they might take one shot and concede, and it's all of a sudden they're shocking. They're a shocking keeper. So yeah, it is tough to rank, but Nick Pope up there, that's my boy, unbelievable player.
He's a big game player too. One thing that I want to talk about too, I put out a tweet a few days ago regarding it. So I asked your top 3 strikers in the world, and I had Lewandowski, Haaland, and then Kane, and that was going off of that amazing Haaland goal this past weekend. So I wanted to ask you boys what you thought about your top 3 strikers in order.
That's easily my top 3. I don't really have to think about that one. I would go, in terms of an order, it's tough. They're different players, obviously. I'll go Lewandowski top. He scores an obscene amount of goals. I'm going to go Lewandowski top, and then Kane, and then Haaland, just because Kane's playmaking ability.
I hate to make it boring, but I'm going to completely agree with Ames. I've got the same top 3, unless there's somebody that I'm missing. But I think I'm just running through the leagues now. Unless you would consider Mbappe as being a striker, or is he a winger? But I still think that I'd have Haaland as purely if we're talking about striker. I'd go Lewandowski, Kane, and then Haaland. But I do think Mbappe has to be considered there. And Cristiano Ronaldo, of course.
And Benteke for his last minute volleys.
Hey, don't sleep on Mateta, though. Round out that top 5.
That's true. That's true, actually. There's your top 5, mate. This man.
I can't believe you guys have not got called Michael Antonio into that list.
Shush, mate. Shush. I'd rather have Suchek.
And then another thing I wanted to ask, so coming off of the Everton-Liverpool game this past weekend too, I'd heard a commentator ask another commentator who he thought was going to finish higher between Everton and Liverpool. So I also wanted to ask you boys what you thought. If you had to put your money on it right now, who finishes higher? I'd probably still go Liverpool. Obviously, the current form doesn't really agree with me, but I would probably put my money on Liverpool to still finish above Everton.
I still have faith in Liverpool, to be honest. I still have faith in them to get top 4, to be honest. But yeah, let me just have a quick look at the table, just to see what the gap is. Oh, so they're level on 40 points. Everton have a game in hand. Yeah, I'm still going to go Liverpool.
I agree. I think Liverpool have a lot of quality, and I think Klopp's a fantastic manager. I think he'll restore some consistency. It's just a bad run of form. I think that all it will need is a couple wins, and they'll be back on track. I think they'll actually finish above West Ham as well, and Chelsea, and get top.
Another question is, where do you think they'll finish? Because I was thinking
I think they'll finish 4th. I think they'll really motivate themselves to still get top 4 this season, and I think they'll do it.
So do you think Leicester will finish above?
Yeah, I think Leicester United in some order get 2 and 3.
Yeah, I agree. I think West Ham will probably end up finishing 6th or 7th, depending on how well Everton perform. I think we should finish above Villa, Tottenham, and Arsenal now. I can't actually see Tottenham picking up too many points coming. They were so poor against us. Second half, Bale was a real driving force for them. But I also think that they're so wasteful. I think their average. They actually had a lot more expected goals than they normally do, but the average expected goals of one of their shots was 0.04 or something. And that showed in the game. They were having so many pot shots from outside the box, which you kind of thought, as a West Ham fan, when you saw them taking the shot on, you were actually relieved rather than nervous about whether the shot was going to go in. When you watch Eric Dyer try and blast it from 30 yards after 10 minutes of constant pressure on your defence, you think, this is great.
Talking about Eric Dyer, my England squad has changed a little bit upon some thought. It's changed a little bit. That's all I'm going to say. The video's not out yet, but it's changed a little bit.
After that video goes out, we can record another episode where we talk about the change in our England.
We just do one a week and we just change it every single week
based on form.
It's just form, yeah.
Yeah, mine has also changed. That's what I'm going to say as well. Mine's also changed. I've made 2 changes to mine. So, and that was only a week ago that we recorded that, and it's already changed twice. Yeah. So it's obviously
it's something to think about. I think we did Wan-Bissaka dirty. I'm sure that's one of your changes.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it's only when you start to think about like actually in game what's going to happen. Is like when I think of it in that he's just so good one-on-one defensively. If we come up against a team and they've got Mbappe on the wing, like I feel more comfortable if he's running at Wan-Bissaka than Trent or even Walker. So like,
Oh, yeah.
I told you about
like
Trent. I was
like a
anti-Trent.
profile.
Mikey does hate Trent, actually. Mikey really doesn't like him. So you,
Runs a hate account.
yeah, on Twitter you see Trent Alexander-Arnold falling over videos compilation. Mikey, you're behind it. Yeah, I've made a couple changes to my England squad, but obviously not going to reveal too much. Want to wait until the episode comes out.
Yeah, if you're watching, stay tuned next week whenever this does get released for our what was our first vid before the England
The player debates.
The player debates, yeah. So keep a lookout for our player debates, our England Euro squad, 23-man squad. Look out for those. Anything else from you boys?
I'd like to know your thoughts on what you thought about this kind of discussion style of an episode. Obviously, we've had a lot of kind of structured episodes recently, and we just thought today we'd go in with a couple of things we wanted to talk about, and whether or not that's a good format, and if you enjoyed it, and any suggestions you'd like us to do or you'd like to see in the comments would be fantastic.